Hello and welcome to Money Life. This week, let's revisit infrastructure leasing and financial services. This is this massive infrastructure and finance conglomerate with 346 companies and a crazy, complicated network of organizations which are interlinked with each other so that nobody knows what exactly was going on. There was a holding company, which was Infrastructure Leasing and Financial Services, or IL&FS as I'm going to call it. Couple of large companies, IL&FS Financial Services, IL&FS Transportation Network, and then hundreds of other special purpose vehicles, SPVs, for different infrastructure projects. As many of you may know, the amount outstanding before this institution virtually collapsed around September last year and couldn't pay back its loans was 1 lakh crore. That's what Moneylife wrote, 99,354 crore in September 2018. After that, a lot of the media has been putting it at 91,000, 90,000, 94,000. Well, guess what? A report released by the new management appointed by the government in September last year has put the number at exactly what we said in September 2018, 99,354 crore. Or let's take it, round it up, it is 1 lakh crore. This humongous number is 10 times what Vijay Mallya owes the country, this is 9,000 crore with interest, or what Nirav Modi owes, which is little more than 10,000 crore. And yet, look at the difference in the way it is being handled, because there's hardly any action over there. Now, the 2 or 3 things that I have discovered recently is a big shocker. Now, in India, government guarantees, or what is called sovereign guarantees, are issued largely to public sector undertakings or projects that the government takes up itself. IL&FS has been masquerading for more than 25 years under the leadership of its founder Ravi Parsati as a government undertaking. It is not. It has enjoyed all the salaries, massive perks, as well as the ease of doing business, no tenders, do whatever you want with anybody, give contracts to your own group companies. All this is possible because it was a private company. And yet, the government had, way back in 2001, guaranteed loans to 3 sub-projects through the Asian Development Bank based in Manila and KfW, which is a large German lending institution. None of this was ever known in the public domain. Surprisingly, it's out there on the ADB website, which one didn't look at, because nothing much has been revealed about what IL&FS does. The holding company is privately held, so its annual reports go out, but they were of no concern to any people except 2 sets of people should have looked at it. One is the Reserve Bank of India, which was inspecting it every year as a systemically important finance company. It was doing nothing. The credit rating agencies should have known this. In fact, if our political parties were a little alert and savvy, they should have known. In 92, where there was a demand by Enron, the controversial Enron, which has failed in the US, to give a guarantee to Davol Power Company, it used to make headlines every single day because it was unheard of that the government should extend a sovereign guarantee to a private company. And now the ADB website tells us there are any number of guarantees apparently given. So I know of this one where I also discovered that the government has quietly paid out $2 million to ADB and anywhere between 600 to 700,000 euros to KfW, because it has guaranteed the loans to IL&FS. Now, I'm not for a moment saying that we should renege on sovereign guarantees. Sovereign guarantees are sovereign guarantees. They have to be honored, otherwise the nation is a defaulter. My point is that when everybody else has to go to the NCLAT, which is the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal that is looking at bankruptcy hearings, how is it that this escapes attention? It is quietly negotiated by some bureaucrat or former bureaucrat who is now part of the new team in IL&FS, talks to someone in the finance ministry, and checks of millions of dollars are issued with no disclosure to the public, no disclosure to the country. It's just quietly done. And the rest of us don't know. Why should we know? Because our money is going to be affected. If there is a loss, it is our money. And when I say our money, I mean a whole lot of private sector employees whose pension fund investments have been invested in IL&FS, a whole lot of mutual funds which have invested in IL&FS. These investments are made by people who are experts. Now, they didn't make a mistake. They looked at the credit rating that IL&FS had, and literally until August 2018, on the day again when Moneylife first reported that IL&FS had dishonored its payments to SIDBI, until that day when its debts began to fail, this was a AAA rated group. All its instruments, everything was AAA rated, which is the highest credit rating. Overnight, it crashes. It is a default rating. And everybody who had money in it is out at a standstill. The hearing is going on before the NCLAT, which recently has said it wants to protect pension money. But guess what? The only people being paid, no questions asked, are the two multilateral agencies where the government had no business guaranteeing a private company's projects, where almost no oversight was done by the Finance Ministry or by the RBI. And as we have repeatedly been saying, it's a nice little nexus of the top management of IL&FS and a series of IAS officers across governments who have had a revolving door policy where they've been working with IL&FS, have been directors on IL&FS, continue to run projects, and have been going back in government or have been in government first, sanction projects, and then come to the private sector. I think this just has to stop. We have to raise our voice and stop it. So now one part is the government guarantee, which is done. The second question that arises is, who is involved in the resolution of IL&FS? We know that it's a very formidable banker called Uday Kotak. Uday Kotak is just one among the board. Every other day, the government is appointing IAS officers. Yesterday, that's 3rd April, the government made an announcement that one Mr. C.S. Rajan is going to be the managing director. Everybody who knows anything about IL&FS and its dealings with Rajasthan know that this man was a former Chief Secretary of Rajasthan and extremely close to the cabal that has created this huge loss of 1 lakh crore. It's not a loss, some parts of it will be recovered, but debts which couldn't be paid, which have gone for resolution, are as much as 1 lakh crore. And this man is now going to be the managing director. So honestly, we find it very, very hard to believe that the government is serious. Let's take a third point, which is that why isn't there any action? So the day we wrote about the sovereign guarantees, there was one token arrest. The vice chairman, Mr. Hari Shankaran, has been arrested. He's in SFIO custody, which is Serious Frauds Investigation Office, for 4 days. It comes up tomorrow, which is 4th April. One person. This is a country that is spending a lot of money to be in the UK courts, showing videos to say how Vijay Mallya and Nirav Modi are going to be kept in Arthur Road jail, and pleading with them to send them back to India. As I told you before, the amount outstanding in those two cases is 1/10 of IL&FS. Everybody who's responsible for the mess in IL&FS is right here, and no action. Isn't it something that we need to question? Now, there's a third issue, which is, like I said, the same cabal is in charge, no arrests, sovereign guarantees, and the inquiry itself. So what is happening on the inquiry? It's a slow process. Yesterday, the new management released a status report on what is happening. One of the shocking things that they said is the company on which they have focused a lot of attention is IFIN, IL&FS Financial Services. And they say 90% of those loans are likely to be bad. Isn't that a stunning number? Okay, so 3 agencies are looking at it. The new management appointed Grant Thornton, one of the big accounting firms, to conduct a forensic audit. They did a brilliant job. It's called Project Icarus. I have another video on it. You can look at what Project Icarus has brought out. It's a round tripping of loans, giving loans to joint venture partners, bringing it back to IL&FS in a nutshell, doing everything possible to fudge data, right? So the Serious Frauds Investigation Office, which has already been brought in by the government, has now followed up on what Project Icarus has said. So it has sent out a questionnaire to everybody who borrowed from IFIN ever, right? And asked them a series of questions, including, do you have joint entities? What kind of loans did you take? Were you approached by IFIN or did you approach them for a loan? They want ledgers, they want books, they want proof of disbursement, which is all very wonderful. Something very interesting is happening over here. So SFIO is sending out these letters. Obviously, a lot of people were in cahoots with IL&FS. We don't know what's going to come out there. One of the people who this questionnaire went to has sent me a copy of the reply that they've submitted to SFIO. And what they have pointed out is that there is so much more that has to be investigated. The kind of role that IAS officers who were responsible for the lending have played, and they've pointed to clear fraud that was happening even in the manner in which loans were dispersed to them, and they claim that they have lost money because of this lending, which means that SFIO's questionnaire based on this first report is going to lead to a lot more that will come out. And one thing is constant, repeatedly, another set of retired IAS officers who are in cahoots with IL&FS. I think this nexus has to be killed. But unless there is pressure on this government to get to the bottom of what is happening, because all these people are still there. Like I said, there are 346 companies. Only the board of the holding company has been sacked. The boards of 2 or 3 of the large companies, the listed ones like ITNL and IFIN, have kind of run away and resigned. But the other small SPVs continue to have these IAS officers. And we have repeatedly said, why not a blanket resignation from all IAS officers who are sitting on IL&FS entities? Nobody is asking for it. And nobody is asking for it because while we may make a noise about Mallya correctly, we are not making enough of a noise about IL&FS, which is 10 times worse. Time to wake up, India. Ask questions. Thank you.